Did Judge Judy really call Donald Trump dumb? And why does Judge Joseph Woffner dislike her so much? Judge Judy, a household name known for her no-nonsense courtroom demeanor, has stirred controversy once again, this time in the political arena. Over the years, she has faced criticism for her tough approach to litigants. And more recently, questions have emerged about her political endorsements and personal opinions on key figures like Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Allegations have circulated that Judge Judy is unqualified to be a judge, with some claiming she was disbarred, claim that is entirely false. In truth, Judy Shinlin was a family court judge in New York before launching her long-running TV show, Judge Judy, which won multiple awards and gained a massive following. But it's not just her courtroom style that has people talking. In the lead-up to the 2024 U.S. presidential election, Judge Judy broke her usual silence on political matters to endorse Nikki Haley in the Republican primaries. Her decision surprised many, particularly because she publicly criticized both Donald Trump and Joe Biden, stating that neither man had the intellectual capacity to lead the country forward. According to Judy, Trump's 2016 victory was more about luck than leadership. And while he made some good decisions, he ultimately had little to offer America. Her statements caused a stir. Fans and critics alike questioned her motives. Was it appropriate for a TV judge to weigh in on politics? Did she genuinely believe her endorsement could influence the election the way Oprah Winfrey's support boosted Barack Obama in 2008? Judy likely hoped her influence, drawn from decades of television success, could help propel Haley past Trump in the primaries. But it didn't work. Trump won the Republican nomination handily, and later secured victory in the general election. Judy's endorsement of Haley created a noticeable divide among her fan base. Some believed she should have backed Trump. Others felt she should have stayed out of politics entirely. But Judy stood firm, believing that endorsing Haley was the morally correct decision, even if it wasn't the most popular one. Judge Judy has long been known for her sharp wit and signature phrases like baloney and don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. While these lines help cement her television persona, critics say her tough talk often crosses the line into disrespect, especially when aimed at vulnerable litigants. In one case, a 20-year-old mother of 4 dealing with a cheating spouse and financial hardship appeared before Judge Judy, only to be met with cutting remarks. Incidents like these have led some to question whether Judy's on-screen behavior reflects a lack of empathy or simply a commitment to swift, stern justice. Following the end of her original show, Judy launched a new series in hopes of continuing her brand of televised courtroom justice. But as she stepped further into the spotlight, both politically and professionally, more people began to question, who is the real Judge Judy? Is she a champion of justice, or someone who relishes control and controversy? Whatever the answer, one thing remains certain. Judge Judy isn't afraid to speak her mind, no matter the fallout. Judge Judy's sharp tongue and no-nonsense approach have long been part of her brand, but not everyone sees them as virtues. Over the years, it has drawn harsh criticism for her perceived insensitivity, especially in cases where compassion seemed more appropriate. In one memorable episode, a young woman appeared in Judy's courtroom. She was just 20 years old, married to a man who had cheated on her, raising 4 children, and struggling with depression. But instead of offering sympathy, Judge Judy bluntly told her that her depression stemmed from her life circumstances, not her husband's betrayal. While her comment may have had some truth to it, many viewers felt it lacked empathy. What the woman needed in that moment, critics argued, was support, not further judgment. This wasn't an isolated case. In another widely discussed incident, Judge Judy referred to a defendant and her mother as morons. Critics questioned whether such name-calling was appropriate for a judge on TV or otherwise. Supporters of Judy, however, see her behavior differently. They say her tough demeanor is a result of her background in Manhattan's family court system. She often had to cut through lies and manipulation. According to fans, Judy acts like a human lie detector, and her tough approach is simply a way of getting to the truth quickly. For them, her bluntness, combined with her wit and iconic catchphrases, is what makes her so entertaining. But critics argue that her tone has changed over the years and not for the better. In the early days of Judge Judy, they claimed she was firm but fair. Over time, though, they say her rising fame and enormous wealth, she reportedly became one of the highest paid personalities on television, caused her to become more dismissive and out of touch with the real struggles of everyday people. Some even went so far as to say her fans were sadistic for enjoying the way she spoke to litigants. One of Judge Judy's harshest critics was Joseph Wapner, the former star of The People's Court. Their tension dates back decades. Before Judge Judy ever aired, Judy reportedly wanted to take over Wapner's role when he was let go from the People's Court in 1993, though she didn't get the position. She remained close to the show. Her husband, Jerry Scheinlin, later served as an arbitrator on the People's Court from 1999 to 2001. Judy's personal life also endured hardship. The death of both her parents took a toll on her emotionally, and her marriage suffered. She and Jerry divorced in 1990, only to remarry a year later. Through it all, she stayed connected to courtroom television, a world that Joseph Wapner didn't seem thrilled to share with her. In 2002, Wapner publicly criticized Judy, saying she lacked the decorum of a judge and accused her of being rude and unprofessional. Judy's reputation for sharp criticism made the attack sting even more. At first, she refused to engage, saying she wouldn't get into a feud. But then she added that Wapner should have remembered the old saying, "If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all." Wapner didn't take that well, fired back with a series of interviews, calling Judy arrogant and accusing her of making a mockery of the justice system. At a time when some were already questioning her qualifications and demeanor, his words struck a nerve. But Judge Judy wasn't one to take punches without throwing some of her own. In what many fans consider a legendary response, she publicly dismissed Wapner as boring and lacking the charisma to succeed in entertainment. She said he didn't have the timing or wit needed for television and that, without a sense of humor, he never had a shot at captivating an audience. And she wasn't done. In a 2013 interview with Larry King, when asked about Wapner's performance as a TV judge, she had even more to say. Judge Judy versus Judge Joseph Wapner, a war of words and a lifetime of battles. When Judge Judy finally responded to Joseph Wapner's harsh critiques during a 2013 interview with Larry King, her tone was measured but still fiery. She dismissed Wapner as boring, adding that he lacked the wit and timing required for entertainment. That response was enough. From that point on, Wapner stopped criticizing her in public. So who won that battle? Many say Judy did not, just by silencing her rival, but by continuing to thrive in the spotlight. Something Wapner struggled to do in his later years. But while Judge Judy has triumphed in many professional battles, one challenge still lingers: persistent criticism of her judicial style and qualifications. It's an issue that has refused to go away, and one that eventually forced her to speak out. The relentless fighter Judge Judy is nothing if not tenacious. Back in 1993, when she expressed interest in replacing Joseph Wapner on the People's Court, many dismissed her as delusional. But she stayed focused. When the opportunity came later that year, she seized it, though not with the People's Court. Instead, profile written by Josh Getlin, inspired by his wife Heidi, about Judy's unrelenting courtroom toughness, caught national attention. That article led to a segment on 60 Minutes, which catapulted her into the public eye. Soon after, she was offered a book deal. The publisher, HarperCollins, balked at her proposed title. "Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining," they warned. That no one would buy a book with such a strange title. Judy ignored the advice and went ahead with it. The book sold 216,794 copies. Decent figure, but not the blockbuster hit she had hoped for. In this case, Judy may have won the battle, but arguably lost the war. Birth of a TV empire. Next victory came with the launch of Judge Judy. After being turned down for a show called People's Bench, Judy teamed up with talent scouts Kay Switzer and Sandy Spreckman, veterans of the People's Court who believed she had star power. They pitched a new courtroom series and CBS picked it up. The show was a hit. Interestingly, Judy didn't initially want the show to be called Judge Judy. She preferred Hot Bench. The producers disagreed. Years later, Judy launched her own production company and finally created a new show, Hot Benches, a spin-off. What too became a success. But victory didn't come without friction. Judy was sued multiple times by producers, including Switzer and Spreckman, over royalties and creative rights. She won every case. Still, one accusation continued to haunt her, that she wasn't a real judge. Is Judge Judy actually qualified? This criticism dates back to her feud with Wapner, who famously claimed she lacked judicial decorum. Others have gone further, falsely suggesting she was disbarred or unfit to serve. But here are the facts. Judy Sheindlin passed the New York State Bar in 1965. She began her career as a corporate lawyer before transitioning to criminal prosecution. She was appointed as a Manhattan Family Court judge and eventually promoted to supervising judge. Currently, Judge Judy is not an active judge. In the legal system, she serves as a TV arbitrator. That distinction matters, as an arbitrator. Her rulings are legally binding but are not governed by the same ethical or procedural standards as a sitting judge. Because of this, she cannot be disbarred, a disciplinary action reserved for practicing attorneys. In short, Judy is fully qualified and never faced disbarment. The rumor persists, but it's unfounded. When rumors cross the line, though, she has learned to ignore most criticism. There was one false claim that pushed Judy too far. She sued. More on that soon. Still, some believe that the harsh spotlight Judy finds herself under is justified, that she's a bad person and deserves the criticism. Is that fair? The people behind the bench, Judge Judy and bailiff Byrd. For many fans, thoughts of Judge Judy bring to mind the iconic figure who stood beside her for decades, Petrie Hawkins Byrd, known simply as Byrd. He was more than a sidekick. He was a symbol of calm authority, who earned respect in his own right. Byrd shares some of Judy's political views. Like her, he has been critical of Donald Trump, particularly for what he sees as Trump's disregard for the rule of law. Byrd's passion for justice is rooted in his background. Born in 1957, during the last years of Jim Crow segregation and amid the civil rights movement, Byrd's upbringing gave him a deep appreciation for fairness. Though he had a love for acting, his commitment to justice won out. He graduated from Eastern District High School in Brooklyn, then Hostos Community College, eventually started work as a court officer in the New York City court system in the early 1980s. By 1986, while furthering his education at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, Byrd was transferred to the Manhattan Family Court Division, where he would cross paths with Judge Judy Sheindlin, and serving as a supervising judge at the time. He rotated between judges, but eventually worked with Judy directly. The impression she left on him was profound. Judge Judy and Byrd, a partnership-tested legacy question for over 2 decades. Judge Judy and her loyal bailiff, Petrie Hawkins Byrd, simply known as Byrd, formed one of the most iconic duos in daytime television. Their chemistry was effortless, as though Byrd rarely spoke unless prompted. His subtle expressions, dry humor, and calming presence added layers to the show's dynamic. He wasn't just calling cases, he was supporting Judge Judy in every sense, offering guidance on vehicle damage estimates, keeping litigants in line, and maintaining order when tempers flared. Byrd admired Judy's blunt and direct style, though. He admitted it wasn't for everyone, but Judy appreciated Byrd just as much. When she needed a bailiff for her new show in the 1990s, she didn't think twice, she chose Byrd. Their silent understanding often mirrored that of an old married couple. They didn't need to speak to know what the other was thinking. Cracks in the partnership, but behind the scenes, not everything was as seamless as it looked. For years, Judge Judy dominated ratings, but failed to win a single daytime Emmy. Publicly, both Judy and Byrd downplayed it, but insiders say the repeated snubs stung. So when the show finally won its first Emmy, should have been a shared moment of triumph. Instead, Judy celebrated alone. During the award ceremony, Byrd wasn't seated anywhere near her. Worse, when the award was presented, Judy asked someone else, not Byrd, to hand it to her. It was a move that deeply hurt him, but unfortunately, it wasn't the last. The Judy Justice fallout. After 25 seasons, Judge Judy came to an end. The announcement of a new spin-off, Judy Justice, thrilled longtime fans, who assumed Bird would naturally return alongside her. But when the first episode aired, fans were stunned. Bird was nowhere in sight. The reason? Judy reportedly told him she couldn't afford to bring him on. That explanation rang hollow to fans. Judy is one of the highest-paid TV personalities in history, and many believe Bird deserved better. Viewers voiced their disappointment, and eventually, Judy brought Bird back, but not to Judy justice. Instead, she placed him on another of her shows, a quiet admission that perhaps she'd misjudged her decision. Was this a sign of respect, or damage control? Is Judy being callous, or did she make amends in her own way? The answer depends on who you ask. Some believe her treatment of Bird reveals a cold streak. Others argue that her gesture to bring him back, even if under a different banner, shows that she still values his contributions. Fighting back against the tabloids, Judy's readiness to correct perceived slights doesn't end with personal relationships. When she believes she's been wronged, she doesn't hesitate to strike back, and that's exactly what happened when Accelerate 360 Media crossed a line through their tabloid subsidiaries. National Enquirer and In Touch Weekly, the media company, published an article claiming that Judge Judy was advocating for the release of the Menendez brothers. Lyle and Eric Menendez were convicted of murdering their parents in 1989 and sentenced to life in prison. The article implied Judy believed the brothers had reformed and deserved parole, but Judy vehemently denied the report and filed a lawsuit. In her own words, "If they're ready to tell lies about me, they better be ready for what's coming." She stated that the article wasn't just a mischaracterization, it was part of a pattern of ruthless attacks on her name, reputation, and legacy. This time, she vowed she wouldn't sit back. She was going to fight it to the end. Whether she win this battle remains to be seen. But if history has taught us anything about Judge Judy, it's this: she rarely loses.